Hey guys, today we have Nick Williams from Medicare Millionaire on the show, and we're so excited. Nick's a veteran in the Medicare insurance market, and he helps train some agents. We're going to go over that a little bit later. But Nick, I just want to say thank you for being on our show today, and tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started in the industry.
Well, thank you, Gary. It's great to be here. I started in this business in 1989, and basically I'm a military guy. So when the military got out, and then I was just trying to find my way. I had a union job. I lived in the Mid-Atlantic area. And all of a sudden, this insurance business was presented to me. Got my license. I saw the numbers. I saw if I made one sale. I started in the life insurance business, selling life insurance, universal life, whole life. And I saw the numbers. If I could make 500 on one sale, I could make 1,000 on two sales. I could make 10,000 on, 10 sales or what, so the numbers just kept adding up. And I was like, this is where I need to be. And I've done some different things over the years. That's a lot of time. I've done some different things, but I'm a life insurance agent, man. That's what I love to do. So
cool.
Here I am today.
Hey, do you like my cup?
Coffee is for closers. Glengarry, what was that? Glengarry Glen Ross?
That's right.
There you go.
So what drew you to the Medicare senior marketing? What drew you to that? Why did you decide to go to that route? I'm sure you still do some life and some stuff, but what drew you to that Medicare market?
Well, as I said, I've done some other things, and I had a tangent where I was doing some real estate investing, and I took a beating like everybody else. I've been humbled, Gary. And so I came back to the insurance business full-time, and I didn't want to go back into that life business. So I got on the phone. I started selling individual health insurance, internet leads, which is just a very difficult route to go. Okay, I'll say that I didn't enjoy the internet leads. Pounded a lot of numbers, though. And so I just was trying to feel it out. One day I was driving down the road, and one of those big agencies had a billboard, and I think it said something like "New Year, New Career." And I pulled in, and I saw, they were a senior insurance company, and I saw what they were doing. It made sense. Just like back in 1989, it all made sense to me. Simplified issue products, if not guaranteed issue. And I joined an agency as a captive agent, and that was good. A lot of people criticized that, but I thought it was great because I had camaraderie. But anyhow, so that kind of evolved, and I had the opportunity for big sales. I could transition to annuities, life insurance, all from that Medicare sale. And that's how it's evolved to where it is today.
So what you're saying is that the Medicare product is just a lead-in for other products. Is that correct?
I believe in cross-selling, yes. Right. And I believe, especially for a newer agent, it's critical. You have to do it. If you've got a big book of Medicare business, well, that's ideal. But otherwise, you've got to cross-sell, because especially as you get further away from that Medicare season or AEP or whatever you want to call it, if you're not nailing that T65, it gets pretty difficult.
I see. Cool. So let's get into the meat and potatoes. Everybody wanted to hear about how you got started, but they want to hear the good stuff. They want to hear what a successful agent should do. They want to hear tips, techniques, practices. I mean, we don't have a lot of time. You're just going to share a little bit, but what does a typical day look like, or should look like, for a successful agent?
Okay. For me, I literally pack a cooler with drinks, and I get in my car and I go sell all day. I worked with a top agent, the number one agent at an insurance company before, and we did a convention, and he got up on the podium because he's the number one agent in the company, and he said the secret to success. He's going to tell everybody the secret to success. And then he went on a tangent. He goes, "Don't worry, I'm going to tell you that secret to success." And he went on another tangent, and then he started walking away from the microphone when he was done. And he came back and he said, "Oh yes, I forgot. The secret to success is," and he yelled out real loud, "work," and that's what you got to do. You got to get in your car, unless you're working the phone. Like, all my appointments are done. They're scheduled. on the phone, and we pound the phone, but then it's getting in the car and working. If you're a phone sales guy, obviously you're going to be generating your leads. Like I use sales dialers, and I generate my leads there, but I get in the car and I go to work. And so my day is grinding. That's what you got to do.
Okay. So you're about how many hours a day or a week are you spend on your phone to be successful? I mean, yeah.
I have a full-time telemarketer on the phone, and she's working 40 hours a week. Okay. So it's 40 hours a week. She dials like 400 numbers a day. It is offshore phone. I have a Filipino, and I pay her a decent wage, and she's happy as could be. She's working 9 to 5. So she's working, a solid work day. And so I have all the leads in the world.
So let's tell us about that. So the person, your caller who's using sales dialers is calling 9 to 5 all day long. Is that correct?
Every day.
Wow.
5 days a week.
Okay, 5 days a week. Got it.
I'm sorry. Yes, 5 days. Every work day, so to speak.
Got it. So in that, and you're not going to be able to give me an exact number. That's fine. But I'm so curious about this. Sales dialers, it's really a numbers game. And what our solution does is it allows people to cover a lot of ground quickly. How many leads how many leads does your person get on an average day for you?
She gets about 10 every single day. And okay. I'm not able to keep up with her lead volume. I'm simply not able to keep up. But it comes down to how well you want to qualify those leads. So if you tighten that up and you put more and more restrictions, okay, the mistake I see a lot of agents make is they want the telemarketer basically to help them make a sale. It's a mentality. It's like, my leads are no good. I got to change my script. Now, there are different types of sales. I'm talking about going to the door. I just want to get to the door. And I have a clipboard. I got the clipboard in my hand. I got the lead on the clipboard. And, it gives me that official look, Gary. And I say, hey, I'm here about the Medicare. You talked to Rachel in my office yesterday. And she said, I'd be coming by. So how you doing? And from that point, I have every opportunity in the world to sell. Now, so the qualification is that they will see me. Versus what company do they have? If I can save them money, would they have any objection to change? So you can really qualify these. You could ask them, do they smoke? You can ask them, do they have any chronic conditions? I don't ask anything. I just want to get that appointment because I want to get to the door, and I'll create something from that. And if they do have a chronic condition and so there's no appointment scheduled, well, the husband or the wife of that prospect may not have that chronic condition, and therefore I have an opportunity to sell when the other agent overqualified it and doesn't have an opportunity to sell.
Got it.
Just school of thought,
Right, for sure. So you're talking about your caller calls turning 65, right? How far out do you? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I do both.
Okay, so how far out for turning 65 do you call? If today is March, I think 20th, something like that. Yeah, the 20th. So today, is April 20th. How far out are you calling? Are you calling how many months out for that?
I'll do 4. I'll do 4
months out. Okay.
I'll go out 4 months. I'll go, the first, second, third, and fourth month out. Understand that you're not going to have enough turning 65 leads to keep yourself busy unless you really broaden your area. And again, if you're doing phone sales, well, you have a whole country. But if you're getting in your car, you don't.
Got it. So you're going to see these people. So she's gathering information for the lead. What type of information is your appointment center gathering?
That I will be there either AM or PM. That's
pretty much. That's it, huh?
That's it.
Name and address, right? Phone number.
And that's okay. Again, you get. I have the name and address, of course.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yes. So you get to the appointment, you just make it happen from there.
I see
what it's all about. So I got the name and address because they're on the spreadsheet that I've loaded into Excel. But I have learned to confirm that address.
Okay, so you confirm your appointments the day of, 2 days out? How often?
I only call today for tomorrow's appointments.
That's all you do?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so that's good info. So you
well, if it's for knocking on that door, understand these people are old. They may not remember 2 days out. They don't remember 1 day out.
Right.
So
right. That's a good point. That's a very good tip right there, Nick. Thanks. So so tell us about the Turning 65. So you call the Turning 65, and you're talking about getting Medicare insurance. So you're talking to them about getting on Medicare. And you've talked about that. What about saving people money? Do you ever go in for people that are 67, 68, 69, 70? Do you have your person call those as well?
Yes, and understand, Gary, that's the bulk of the numbers in a geographic area. If you're in your car selling, okay,
right.
So if you're in your car selling, that's the bulk of the numbers in a geographic area, because like if I'm in a county, there may only be 200 turning 65. There might be 4,000 just 66 to 79. So you have obviously you're going to have to go to that 66 to 79 market. And again, I'm not selling them just Medicare. So
right. So let's talk about, so you're going in there, you're trying to save them money on their current Medicare plan. Is that correct? Or sell them another, I'm not that well versed, but sell them another part of Medicare. Is that correct?
That is correct. I'm trying to save them money on their Medicare supplement. That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay. So do you mind just going over couple little script things for like turning 65? Do you mind going through that for our listeners?
Okay, understand. I don't do this every day, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for you, Gary.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So my script the basic script is my telemarketer will call. She'll say, "This is Richelle. I'm calling regarding your Medicare supplement insurance. We help seniors who are on Medicare supplement address any changes that may affect them, whether it's positive or negative. You would want to know. And we're going to have somebody in your area tomorrow, and we'd like to have them stop by to go over if there are any changes that would affect you. Would morning or afternoon be better?"
I see.
Short, very short. And I didn't use the turning 65. It's basically the same script, but we see that you're turning 65 very soon, and you're going to be going on Medicare. And we'd like to have somebody stop by and go over your options. And again, I go back to the basics of the script. We're going to have somebody again in your area tomorrow. We'd like to have them stop by. Would morning or afternoon be better?
That's great. So now I assume your other script of saving people money, and that's great. I mean, it's short. It talks about the changes in Medicare, which everybody wants to know about the changes in the Medicare policies coming out. So, so the 66 to 69, is your script a little different, revolving around saving them money? It's exactly the same thing.
Yes, it's the same script. Gary, the script I used the first run through that I just did is the 66 to 79. Then I qualified that. And then the important part is that you go back to the close of AM or PM. Now, this gives me a lot of flexibility. Now, some people will nail you down on the time, but if I go back, if there's an objection, like, well, I already have insurance. Well, we understand that. We simply want to go over if there's any changes that could possibly affect you, whether they're positive or negative. Again, having said that, would morning or afternoon be better?
Got it.
And I do it one time because I don't want to fight for the appointment. So my telemarketer is instructed to do that one time. And then because a lot of times they'll say no because it's an instinct. So you rebut that by just repeating, you restate it and then repeat the close AM or PM. And again, the second time they're going like, all right, I give up. You got me. If they don't cave the second time, then you
move on.
I let them go. Yeah, I don't want to force an appointment because then you get to the door and they're like, well, I didn't really want to see you. You get that anyhow, Gary.
Yeah. So, in that turning 65 especially, let's face it, you get a lot of people calling, and a lot of other agents calling those T65s, right?
Yes, you do.
So how do you make yourself stand out from that competition, Nick?
Well, I believe that because I'm not asking all that information up front, again, there's two different ball games that you're playing here. There's over the phone sales and there's face to face. So I'm speaking specifically regarding the face to face.
Right.
I just want to get to the door. So other people are trying to qualify them, everything, and instead I'm just getting to the door, and it's like, hey, how are you doing? You know?
I see.
Yeah.
So your whole goal is just to get to the door, sort of like informational, and then you hope to build that rapport, build that trust with that in-home sale. Or I'm sorry, that in-home presentation, and then you build that rapport and trust, and then you get the sale.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell us about. Does your telemarketer do any hot transfers or over the phone sales? Just all in all phone scripts, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. I've done the phone sales, and so I understand that. But at this time, for different reasons, I'm doing the face to face, and I believe that is a good avenue if you want to get out and just grind and make things happen. That's a great way to do it. And a lot of people would argue the same thing over the phone, but again, it's the level of qualification necessary is just not needed on the face to face sale.
Right. So if you're over the phone, you have to qualify them so much more. Am I correct?
I would think so. I would think that working the phones, you would want that a bit more qualified.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and a lot of people, let's face it, a lot of seniors might be a little scared about buying a policy over the phone. Right.
You know, people are being conditioned. Okay, I go years back. When I started in 1989, there was the bank draft, and people hated the bank draft. And now the bank draft is normal. You would get kickback on the bank draft 50% of the time. I get kickback on the bank draft very infrequently. They know. I just tell them, hey, that's how it's done these days. You know that. And they go, yeah, you're right. So, there you go.
So the phone sales, the phone sales, as you know, I'm sure there's a lot of successful agents out there over the phone. But I would think, and please correct me if I'm wrong, those are probably a little tougher because you can't build that rapport like you can in person, right?
I say, and again, there'll be a lot of people argue this. You know that, Gary, right? But I say that I have all my tools at my disposal at that door. I have a whole family to sell to at that door. I've got potentially, and I've created a closer connection. And when I say all my tools, I've got my personality. I've got my bag of props, so to speak. Although I don't use, I pretty much use a yellow pad and a pen to sell. But I got my book, Medicare and You, and I pull this out. I got the pages written down that I need to reference right at the top of the book. So I'll use that. And, I've got a lot of tools at that point of sale that I don't have over the phone. And I believe that I believe for the new agent, that is the better way. Get out there and make it happen and build your book of business. Start creating some cash flow.
I see. So let's talk about that new agent. So if a new agent is starting out in the industry, Nick, and their company, they have the option to sell in person or over the phone, you would steer them to what?
I would steer them to in person, and I would steer them to sell 4 product lines. It would be the Medicare, the final expense, the indemnity products, and spin off and get that occasional annuity, especially if you're doing turning 65, because there's going to be a percentage based on the county, the demographics of the county that you're working in, and that percentage of people they're going to have 401ks, they're going to have ESOPs, they're going to have all these different products, qualified products, and quite frankly, they need to make a change. So it's just like the Medicare, but it's for $250,000 of cash that you're going to make $15,000 on. So why would you not do that?
So the Medicare, I mean, I hate to say this, but the Medicare is almost just a product to get in the home, to sell other products. Yes, you make money off of it. Yes, you make residuals, but the real money is in not the real money, but the
right. Good qualifier there. Yeah.
Yeah. But the kind of the big money is in the other products as well. And then of course, when you're selling the Medicare, you got Medicare Sup, final expense, you might have dental, you might have, or whatever. But so those other products really add up. It's not just Medicare.
No. But I will say this, the Medicare is the book I want to build. That's what I desire to build more than anything, because that's the book that's going to give you, kind of sort of that money that before you do anything, that check's going to be in the bank. And it's I want to have 1,000 clients, I want to have 10,000 Medicare clients. And that's all there is to it, because you can't chase annuities. People, it's like big game hunting, you get it. I say, take what comes to you. It's like somebody, if they look a bit befuddled about that, or they're concerned, or they talk to a broker, I'll say something like, well, those brokers are going to put you in the stock market, stocks or bonds, because that's what brokers do, Gary. It's stocks and bonds. They don't save you. In the event of a market crash, they're generally not going to save you. They're going to tell you, and these are the types of things I'll say. They'll tell you that they'll provide safety by providing diversification. But when that market crashes, it's all crashing. And that's just how I'll say it to them. And, most of the time, they're not going to take it. But I'm not going to fight for an annuity sale. But if somebody gives me some indication like, yeah, I'm really worried about that, well, now I'm in. So now I'm, but I'll be nonchalant about it in the sense that, well, maybe we'll work on that. But let's get back to the Medicare, and then I'll come back to it. So I don't want to get in there on Medicare and then change to annuity and
then you're all over the place.
Yes, exactly.
So that brings my next question. I've been writing some great stuff down that I want to ask you. So you're not going to, Nick, sell Medicare or final expense or other products the first appointment, are you?
Oh, no. I will sell, and I often sell on the first call, often. And that's my preference. So, and it's not hard because you're there. And I have I use this term. It's like if I see that there's a potential sale, again, this term I use is I'm just going to camp out. It's like, I'm just going to sit down, relax, and just wait for it to come to me. And so it might take a little bit more time, but I'm perfectly fine with that. So because I see that, okay, if they have a Medicare supplement that the premium is through the roof, I'm not going to start jumping up and down and try to close that sale. I'm going to just probe and talk with them and discuss a lot of things. And, I'll go over the Medicare and Jew book, just show them some things. I'll talk about extra help, whether they qualify or not. And it's like building that ability to close that sale on that one call. But most of the time it's one call. I very rarely have to go back for a second call. But again, I don't have a presentation that's, how should I say this? I don't have a presentation that's written down that I follow. I have key points to cover. And I'll cover them maybe in the first 5 minutes, or it might be 45 minutes later that I cover that point based on where the conversation goes.
I see. So what are some of those key points?
Well, okay. Change. I'm going to give you one. Okay. So that's all I can think of at the moment. Change. Seniors don't like change. So I'll have the change conversation.
Right.
And I'll say, seniors don't like change. And, we'll have that conversation. However, you're a successful senior. You've done well. You have a nice home. And that's from making good decisions. Oftentimes I see, now this is before I've ever tried to sell anything. And I'll say, oftentimes seniors turn 65 and then it's like, that's the ticket to stop making good decisions. For example, you have a Medicare supplement. You're paying 30% higher premium than the other people, your peers, your Medicare beneficiaries that are the same age as you. And I see people and they don't want to change because they're afraid to change. But you're perfectly healthy, so there would be no reason for you not to change. So I'm kind of like closing, and they want to agree with me
That's great. That's so true. That tidbit right there, Nick, is so true. The senior market, they just don't want to have any change no matter what it is. And that's an objection that you have to overcome. And you did a great job with that.
Yes. And oftentimes you'll do all that and you'll get to the end, you'll be like, oh, but I'm not changing. So you've done the whole application, everything. But when you get out, I do Medicare supplements. I tend to do them on my iPad. So when you get that iPad and you start qualifying them, that's where you get the kickback most of the time. And I'll just say, well, let's just make sure you're able to change. And I want to ask you some medical questions. So I don't ask them to change. I generally tell people that you need to have an authoritative presence. I have several points that are the most important, say they're characteristics that you need to have in the house. And one of them is you need to be authoritative. You need to have an authoritative presence. You're like the doctor, the lawyer, the CPA. You're not asking them. Once you get into it, you're not asking them to change. You're basically saying, okay, here's what we're going to do. You're overpaying, and here's the solution. So, and I like to use name brand companies that, that like a Cigna or an Aetna. A lot of people know a lot of other companies because, if it's an older senior, so it might be a company like New Era or something like that, that not everybody, it's not a household name, but these people are familiar with it. So, I'll go down, and I'll use a name that they're comfortable with. And that way that's not like, oh, I'm not going, who's Acme Insurance? They get scared. So I want to go to a name that they're comfortable with. And if I'm authoritative, if we're friends, so to speak, because we've spent some time together, if I have established my presence as the authority, if they start telling me how this works, I kind of sort of stop them. No, I'll tell you how it works nicely. So anyhow.
Cool. That's great info. So making yourself the authority or the go-to type of person for Medicare is what you're trying to achieve. Is that correct?
Yes.
The professional who knows about the Medicare laws and the changes. And if you can portray that you know what you're talking about, they're going to trust you more, right?
Yes. And I think a lot of times agents get out there and when I started, I was scared. I didn't believe. It's like, okay, I would go through this presentation and I was scared to get to close. I don't care if I get to close or not. So I'm going to do it my way, and they're going to either be on board or they're not. And that's how you have to have that mentality. So think about this, Gary. If you're asking them if they want to do it, it's like, well, wait a minute, you're asking me, but you're the professional. So I never ask them what to do. And again, I'm not going to have them tell me what's best for them either. So it's basically like, hey, I'm here. I'm the professional. I'm telling you what you need to do. If you don't take my advice, you're making a mistake, but I'm fine with that. So it's a mentality.
That's cool. So tell us about the Medicare. What is the number one objection you get when you're in the home?
It's that change thing. They just don't want to change. Yes.
That's it. Okay. Yes. Let's go to the next one then. Let's go. Okay. What is the second objection that you see a lot? Can you come off? Maybe the spouse isn't there, or because I know that's a common objection.
You get that. I don't get a lot of objections once I go down that route. Usually what I do is I kind of poke and prod. Okay, here's a big one. They already have an agent, and I'll ask them, and I have a litmus test. If they know that agent's name, they can tell me when they last saw that agent. Like, well, because I'll say, well, when did you last see him? And they'll say, well, when he signed me up. Right. And I'll be like, so this guy was here, or this woman was here 3 years ago, and you've never seen him. And then I'll kind of sort of laugh, and they'll be like, yeah, you got a point there. And that way it takes away that, hey, I got an agent thing. So,
that's great. You just mentioned something. I just thought of something. You said you last saw that agent 3 years ago. You mentioned that. You could also use, well, you don't think that something that the market has changed in 3 years? This market has changed so much in 3 years, and don't you want to get the best value? Because those plans change every year, am I right?
Yes, yes. And
So, yeah,
you get into that, Gary, you get into that Plan F versus the Plan G thing as well. You know, the changes. And that's one of the things when I'm calling about the changes in Medicare, that Plan F is going to, I don't know exactly how the premiums are going to change for people, but it leads me to be concerned. And you understand what I'm talking about when in 2020, when that Plan F is stopped, when they stop issuing that to new Medicare beneficiaries, well, the old timers, so to speak, that are on the Plan F, you know, what's going to happen, you know, to their premiums? I don't know exactly. This has happened before with the Plan J years ago when Bush implemented the Part D drug card. So, but anyhow, there's, you know, there's changes, and they have to be aware of these changes. And you know, again, you get back to change.
That's the biggest one. You know, you're the only one that, you know, we've had other Medicare agents on the show, and you're the only one that's brought that change up. And, you know, agents need to be prepared on how to overcome that change objection. And you know, they don't want to change, or I don't want to change because I'm fine with it the way it is. Everything's working fine. I don't want to change it. And, you know, they really need to be prepared for that, it sounds like, because, you know, you're the first person that brought that up, but I could see that almost on every appointment almost. I mean, it really could be.
Yes. Yeah. Well, change, trust, you know, you're sitting there, and that's why I have that little thing where it's like, I'm going to sit down and relax and talk to these people. You know, sometimes individuals, agents, I should say, they get in there, they want to act very professional, but it's almost like you can be so professional, it's a facade. And instead, why don't you just kind of relax and just talk to these people and help them any way you can? And when I'm in the home, that's what I want to do. If I can't, I've done work, I get on the phone, I'll call companies, when I know that I have no chance of closing the deal. And you know, it's that karma thing, Gary. It's just like, you just want to do your thing. But if you have unlimited leads, which I do, you're able to just relax, because it doesn't matter if you make that sale in that house. Sometimes it annoys me when I don't. But when I see that I can make the sale, and it may be that you don't get to Medicare, but you see they have this horrendously priced final expense plan. You know, it's like, you know, I'm going to get that sale because it only makes sense. And I am the authority, right? So why would they not listen to me? So, you know.
That's great info. So that brings to my next question. When you're in the home, you know, I'm a big believer in making people laugh. That kind of sets them at ease.
Right, exactly.
And so what are some rapport builder things that you've done or said to help build that rapport in the home?
I go in, it's like I sit down. My first thing is, hey, how's your health? You know, seniors always want to talk about their health. Or I won't say they always want to talk about it, but they don't have a problem talking about it. So I have a progression. It's how's your health? And you know, then I'll go to something like, who's your doctor? And it's like, that's not an invasive thing. An invasive question is, who's your insurance company? Who's your Medicare policy with? You know, things like that. If I'll say, well, how much you pay on to go to see the doctor? So it's, I'll start off with how's your health? And usually that will take us into a conversation that will be the catalyst to just relaxing and having a nice long conversation with these people. So again, it's how's your health? Do you get any extra help for your medicines? And then I'll talk about the extra help from Medicare, LIS, or whatever you want to call it. So I'll talk about that. It's a progression of questions that are not invasive. I'll have conversations where I'm helping them, but I'll ask them, how much do you pay the doctor when you see them? If they say $5, I know that they have a Medicare Advantage plan, and I know between two companies who that Medicare Advantage plan is in a market that I'm familiar with. Okay. So if they say 15, I know that they're with this other Medicare Advantage plan because that's the only company that charges $15 for a doctor appointment. So I know exactly what they have before we've even had the conversation of what insurance company are you with. So, you know, and it's just a lot of conversation. I don't want to go in and say, look at the picture on the wall and say, "Oh, you're a fisherman." You know, it's like I will, but only if I care, Gary. You know what I mean?
Right.
I went into a home and they had a picture. It was an old, very much older couple, and they had a picture of their. I don't even know if I should say this, but they had a picture of their son in a coffin on the wall. And I said, "Is that the best picture that you have? You know, of your son?" And they were like, "Yes, I know it's terrible, but we really didn't have hardly any pictures of him." But that's a conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, and you know, we often are scared to go make fun of things with seniors, you know, or just joke around with them a little bit, because it's like, well, they're seniors. You've got to be reverent. Well, you know what? They don't want that. They want you just to relax. You know, they don't want all the agents that walk through the door have this presentation, you know, and then I come in the door and I'm like, that's an interesting picture. You know? So separate yourself from the crowd.
You're just trying to be normal, just trying to be yourself.
Yes.
Not trying to be like.
They really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's cool. So let me ask you this. I know your caller uses sales dialers. How has sales dialers helped you and your market, your business?
Well, I've used sales dialers for years, and it's evolved into, years ago. It's you know, I see where you guys have changed it and improved it. It just works. We very seldom are down, and it works. So what I want in a dialer, okay, I got 3 lines going, and I'm recording the calls so I can go back and I can discuss or teach my telemarketer where they may have made a mistake or congratulate them. I have my telemarketer send me 2 calls at the end of every single day. I say, send me 2 calls. You've had a lengthy conversation with the Medicare beneficiary. Every day. So every day I get an email with my leads, and I have them on a PDF, and I get 2 calls. I get 3 emails at the end of every day, 2 calls and my leads. And so I'll listen to those calls. So that's,
you'll critique them. You'll critique them.
Yes. Especially if it's offshore, you know, like a Filipino telemarketer, which I firmly believe in that as a business model. You know, if they say, and I remember my telemarketer said Medicare, and I said, no, it's Medicare. So we kind of went into that finer nuance of how to pronounce Medicare.
Right.
And so, you know, and she enjoys the fact that I'm taking an interest in her, and she wants me to. So it's not in any way, shape, or form where you're kind of belittling them for mispronouncing a word, but instead, you know, you're helping them. And if they don't want help, well, they're probably not a good telemarketer.
Yeah, you're just training them, helping them to get better and help them to succeed. Yeah, I get it. I understand.
Well, Gary, if somebody's calling, if they're from Boston and they're calling South Carolina, where I am, they're going to sound like somebody from the Philippines calling South Carolina. It's like, you know, I can't even understand some people if they have a real hard accent from areas in this country. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do. Our office is in Georgia here. So yeah, yes. I understand.
Yes. You're right down the road, man.
So tell us a little bit about Medicare Millionaire. Now, I want to know a little bit about that. I know you're opening up a training agency to help new agents getting started in the industry.
Yes.
And to grow. And so Medicare Millionaire, for what I understand, is, you know, you're gonna you launched it not too long ago. You're growing it, and it's a training agency that you're going to help Medicare agents get better at lots of things. So tell us just a little bit about that real quick.
Well, first the name Medicare Millionaire. I'm not a millionaire, but that's the name that GoDaddy had available, and it has a ring to it. There you go. There you go. You know, Gary, I, like a lot of agents, I've had great successes, and I've had times where I have had, and there was a lengthy time where I just kind of faltered, and I had that book of business that wasn't big enough to really. I don't want to stop working, but I was getting lazy, and it was a progression of things. And you have different events in your life, you know, and there's lots of excuses. They are excuses, but I had those excuses and I used them, and I slowed down, and I got some really, really bad work habits. And then I started looking at this content creation, online marketing thing, and that got me excited. That got me as excited or more excited than selling insurance. And then I just eventually combined it too. And it's like, well, how am I going to come back? How am I going to come back from this malaise that I'm in, these bad habits that I have, where I'm not working every day, and I'm just, I'm not really being a productive agent. So I started making videos. Like I'd start off the day saying, all right, it's Monday. I'm out here, and I'll tell a little bit about something I may know about, regarding Medicare sales, or something just, out of the blue. But most of the time I try to focus on sales, because this isn't like a reality TV or anything. It's about sales. So at the end of the day, I'll come back and I'll say, okay, I got 2 sales today, or I'll blank. And I'll have days where I blank 3, 4, 5 days in a row. It's not often, Gary, but I have those times, or I'll go for like 0 for 16. And it's like, man, this is tough. And, so people start following. It's not like I have this big following or anything, but, people appreciate it. And then I've spun off and I've done other things, and it's really kind of taken on a little bit of a life of its own. And it is a driving force for me. So yes, I would say Medicare Millionaire. I don't know, agency, whatever. I have an insurance agency, Advantage Life and Health. Medicare Millionaire, I intend to develop that into something very significant that's going to help a lot of agents. And I love my fellow agents, Gary. I care about them. And I started in this business, and I was just a kid, and I was 25 years old, but just a kid. And I needed help. I didn't have somebody that was telling me what to do. I had people saying, you should do this, you should do that. I read all the books, but to have somebody telling you what to do, and makes the difference. And so that's what I'm trying to do.
So tell us how people can reach out to you, how they can follow you. Tell us how they can call you. Tell us how they can email you. Tell us all that stuff, please.
Well, Medicare Millionaire Facebook page. So I do some trainings there. The Medicare Millionaire Facebook page, Medicare Millionaire YouTube channel. That's more of my daily videos. And I have people that look at every one of them. They'll go back, they'll catch it, and they'll go back and they'll tell me, they'll send me an email, Gary. It's like, I've, over the past several days, I've looked at, 78 videos of yours. And it's just like, wow, you've really done that. And I really, it makes you feel good when people tell you that. And you're making a difference in my life, Nick. And they tell me that. So Medicare Millionaire YouTube channel, Medicare Millionaire Facebook, Nick at MedicareMillionaire.com. I have my Medicare Millionaire website, and we're rebuilding that right now. So because, again, we're doing more and more things. Medicare Millionaire we're going to create something of significance out of it, and we have to evolve and grow, and we're doing that with our website now. We're basically creating a landing page that kind of says, here's what we do, and then it'll evolve from there. So
awesome,
there you go.
Awesome. We'll be launching, ISA services ourselves. We call them inside sales agents.
Right.
So we are in the process of launching ISA services for callers, just like you have somebody in the Philippines. Mm-hmm. Sales Dialers is launching that product line. And also, we have a package together, don't we?
Yes, we do. And I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. So we have a package together as well for Sales Data List, which is our sister company. It's a database of turning 65s, certain demographics, and then also our Dialer CRM solution. So we're excited to be that partner with you.
Yes, man. I am as well.
Well, Nick, I just want to say thank you for being on today, and thank you so much. I know people are going to get a lot of great info here, and we really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being on. Have a great day.
Hey, thank you for having me, Gary. Bye-bye.